NFTs and gaming, new user experiences and monetization models.
Welcome guys, thanks again for joining us. Today we'll be talking about NFTs and gaming. And I'd like the panelists to say a little bit about themselves and introduce themselves.
Okay, I will start. Welcome everyone. My name is Lucie Kadlecova and I've been working in the gambling industry for, let's say, 8+ years. And I'm here representing company Aviatrix, which is pioneering the usage of NFTs in the iGaming sector.
Dean Akinjobi, CEO of Football Media. We're a digital advertising and sponsorship agency. We work with lots of different brands in the gaming space. Closer? Yeah, fine. All right. Be prompted there. Lots of brands in the gaming space on NFTs and monetization models. We are essentially, I've been involved in crypto since 2010, very early adopter of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin fanboy, it's been done well. But that's Football Media in a nutshell.
Hey everyone, I'm Enrico, and I'm the head of Web3 at Polyverse. Polyverse is a Web3 gaming project developed by us, a Web3 gaming studio that bridges all the interaction between the Ethereum blockchain NFTs to any gasless blockchain that wants to develop gaming projects.
Cool, so as you can see, we have quite a diverse panel in different industries, but all relating to games in some way. The first question I'd like to ask is, NFTs and gaming, like why would anyone consider NFTs as part of gaming? Like what are the benefits?
Let me start. As I said, we are pioneering the usage of NFTs in the gaming sector because we saw a great potential for engaging more with the players. We gave them the opportunity to create their own NFT inside the game and then work more with it. Like the more they play, they gain the experiences, and then they can do more actions with their own NFT inside our game.
I see. Okay. And Dean?
Yeah, I think I would reiterate, it's all about creating engagement models. And what NFTs allow you to do with gaming is actually understand your audience better as well. So I think that there's not a way of just saying, hey, there's this NFT and it just does one thing. You can look at it in multiple ways. Understanding user behavior. You can also look at it as a way of testing and learning about understanding what your audiences are interested in. So it serves as an engagement tool, but also a marketing tool from a CRM point of view to how you could reiterate the next version of your product. So I think the data behind it is really underestimated. And I think that's something that can be really utilized, not just the fact that, hey, it's great engagement, but like, what are you actually learning from these levels of engagement and how can it reiterate the next version of your NFT or your project or your marketing message as well and how you position yourself?
I believe the core part that links NFTs and gaming, it's the actual technology that powers the NFTs. It's the actual protocol, whether it is 721, 1155, or whatever you want to actually use as an ERC protocol. The great thing about it is that it decentralizes and democratizes property and digital ownership of things so that any gamer that wants to play the specific game is able to potentially eventually in the future cash in on the countless hours he might be spending on game because he's improving his assets, he's customizing his assets, and it's getting more, and it's not owned by the actual game producer, it is. So you can usually sell it in any marketplace, proprietary or not. And therefore, we give users the ability to control whatever you've been working on while enjoying themselves online. That's what I think is the most important thing.
That's very, very big. So that means anyone who plays games nowadays, they can actually own the assets. And all those people that love buying skins, it means that they're actually limited. And there are editions, and they can be sold in an aftermarket, not for V-Bucks, but for actual fiat, maybe. Converted into fiat. But with that, doesn't it come with implications using blockchain? Like, for example, isn't Ethereum extremely expensive to use as a network? Are there any alternatives? How can it be more fluent in gaming?
I do believe in the panel we do have an example that's really good, but in general, I would say that Ethereum, it's a chain that wasn't built for gaming. I mean, there is no doubt about it. It's a technology that wasn't built for that. It can be used for that. But as an example I made yesterday, if we were to play a tic-tac-toe game fully on-chain on Ethereum, we would need the start of the game, 9 moves and the end of the game with the result. So those are 11 interactions, which today would cost roughly $72 for playing tic-tac-toe. If you were
That's
to actually
expensive.
move, that's crazy expensive. If you were to put Fortnite, one game of Fortnite on Ethereum, and we want to have it fully on chain, first of all, it's not feasible. Second of all, we would be spending roughly a few hundreds K per game in terms of servers usage, which is not feasible. We have to go low gas fees or gasless chains, which empower real gaming.
Gasless chains. And what are some gasless chains that are being used?
As of now, I do believe the Osio Wax protocol are the ones, or the Antilope network are the ones that are being used the most. But I do believe there are also examples in terms of low gas fees blockchains, like the ones Lucie's and her team are working on.
That's true. Let me pick up there. We were very well aware of those obstacles and complications. That's why all the NFTs which are created within our game are written in our own blockchain so that we can control that everything runs smoothly and it creates the best value for everyone, like us, operators, and players as well.
I would just reiterate about the costs. Obviously, the gas prices is a major factor, right? But I think that it's really about, as Lucie mentioned, for example, looking at different versions of different blockchains to ensure that customer experience. If it costs you like $72 to play a game, you're like, what do I get back from it? You want to make sure that return on investment from the user perspective delivers a significant amount of engagement or prizes. So I think that when looking at the cost, just prohibitive, you are only able to use a particular, like Ethereum, for example, is a very cost prohibitive. Making sure that the return on investment from the user side is actually backed up as well. So whatever prizes you're giving to them, the actual tokenization model, the utility aspect is going to need to make it justified as well in that perspective.
And in terms of, okay, aside from that, so using cheaper blockchains might make most sense, or creating a very own blockchain, even linking to a centralized blockchain might make sense. But in terms of bringing users into the game, what builds interest for a game? Like, why would people want to play the game? What kind of strategies are in place to make the game very enticing for people to play?
This is a really good question. Thank you for that. As I mentioned before, I come from the gambling sphere. And as you know, there is a huge competition, like huge. You have bazillion of games being released every single day. And all of those games, they need players to go and play, spend their money. So the usage of NFTs is a great tool how to motivate them to come back to a specific game because they can get more than just the thrill of gambling. They can get more for their money, let's say. They can play to earn. If we consider our example, players can actually gain experiences on their own assets, which they created inside our game. And then they can level up those assets at different skins. And that also allows them to participate in some like retention programs that we have incorporated as well. And I believe that game producers and also operators will have to start thinking about usage of NFTs in the future, because I believe that's the future.
Interesting. What are your thoughts, Dean, Enrico?
I would just say it's around gamification. It's pretty much covered here, really. I think it's just essentially ensuring that you are creating a gamification strategy that justifies the uses of these NFTs. Gamification all the way, really. It's quite as simple. And we gamify. Anyone here has maybe optimized a user experience or CRM. I mean, it's the same principle. It's like, well, you're pretty much using a piece of technology through which to engage with people and give them access to different parts of a game or different parts of an experience or different parts of a VIP club. So it's like simplifying it, and then gamification is a way forward. I mean, it's done with games like Candy Crush since God knows how when. So we've seen that, and we're not reinventing the wheel. It's just using different levels of technology through which to achieve that. So yeah.
Coming from the tech side, I do believe we have to look at it in two ways. First of all, it's game design as a whole. Sometimes, even in gambling, even in casinos, the games need to have a certain rationale behind it that keeps the user engaged. So I do want to play just because the game is fun. Plus, I do have the gamification model in which I need to drive engagement. On the other end, if we mention NFTs, we do still have to remember those are non-fungible tokens. So that non-fungibility aspect needs to be added value, not just a buzzword attached to it, just because I want to attract a new market. So if I'm doing some personalization on it, if I'm doing some dynamic trades, if I want to provide certain rarity, one-of-one collection, collectibles, whatever it is, the non-fungibility aspect and the game design needs to be absolutely on top if we do want to have major user acquisition and use this technology for what it was supposed to be built for.
On the top of your head, guys, are there any key innovators in the NFT and gaming space that are implementing some very, very interesting projects that are getting a lot of attention?
I would pick one because, I mean, looking at what our business do, so I don't know if everyone must be familiar with Paris Saint-Germain. So Paris Saint-Germain have recently just launched it's nothing to do with gaming per se, but I thought to use an example with, it's a luxury brand called Black Paris. So they're actually doing an NFT drop whereby fans will have exclusivity to access these mystery boxes. So you'd have like a exclusive piece, a rare piece, and a standard one. But what you'll have is exclusive discounts on the actual drop from the wear. It's like the physical meets digital. So I think that with regards to like use cases, it's about really looking at the physical that meets digital. And I think creating utility tokens that deliver value, such as the collaboration between Paris Saint-Germain and the fashion brand, or example. And there's another brand in the airline space that's recently created an NFT around, it's an Argentinian airline company. I think it's Bondi. And you're able to actually have an NFT as a ticket. So you go online, you buy your travel ticket, but you can also purchase an NFT. And what that does, it allows you, empowers the user to say, well, I can change the name, I can sell it into a secondary market. So I think that the fact is, it's always about how you just create physical into digital, into reality, into tangible pieces. And I think that those are the kind of things that I've seen that are making, real moves in this space, and in particular the football one that I referred to, we're speaking to multiple brands and clubs about that type of strategy with sponsors and how you activate things like that as well.
In my opinion, for me, I'll talk as a fan. I don't talk as a founder or a tech guy, because otherwise I would be here speaking for the next 7 minutes about my project. I don't think that's appropriate. But I do believe there are two things that I like a lot that came out in the space in the last few months. One is the flooring protocol, which is a tokenized version of NFTs, which allows you to stake NFTs in order to get specific tokens that are linked to the NFT. So we are bringing even kind of a DeFi model to some NFT assets, which I think that's pretty interesting in terms of tech, in terms of whatever you're doing. And if I were to go on the gaming side, I really loved Skyweaver, which is a card trading game in which it's similar to Marvel Snap, if you want to call it. Similar in terms of the dynamics, the game is completely different, but they integrated NFT in a way that anyone from the Web 2 world that is playing strategic card games can actually play with no need to actually buy crypto. You can pay fiat, and if you're familiar with the blockchain, you can exchange in Polygon and whatever you want. So those two examples that are extremes, one it's mobile gaming, the other one it's a sort of a DeFi protocol or NFT derivatives, depending on how we want to see it. I think those are very good implementation of NFT technology within a different realm than what we've seen so far.
For me personally, I am still a woman. So for me, the most interesting cases of the usage are in the collaboration with the fashion brands, like the Nike collab that you were speaking about in the previous panel. I love it. That's great.
It's not exactly gaming, but it's a very nice way of using utility and provenance in the blockchain. What I find extremely interesting, what you were mentioning, if I'm not mistaken, I think CryptoKitties was one of the earlier projects that did kind of include gamification. It was about mating. You mate and you have a rare kitty. So in a sense, it does have gamification in it.
I think CryptoKitties opened the way for a lot of things. CryptoKitties and Punks were the major choices that were there. Punks had this art and community kind of utility. And as of now, we are seeing Punks being sold at an auction as Sotheby's or displayed in MoMA. And that's the art part of I mean, I'm not an art guy, so I wouldn't deep dive into it because I don't know. But in terms of CryptoKitties, that's true. They implemented a new protocol, and they started something 3 to 4 years ago that actually changed the shape of the overall blockchain market. Because regardless of what we think about the bear market, bull market, NFTs going up, going down, they changed the way we see at blockchain, and it drove and they pulled in a lot of people, a lot of normies, as the Legion called them, that wouldn't have been in the space. So I think we still have to pay our regards to the project and the one that opened the way, and then hopefully we will go for a more sustainable way and technologically driven development.
With creating games comes a lot of marketing. What new ways or interesting ways are people trying to bring more attention? Because it's quite a hurdle to bring people into Web3 who are, based on Web 2, for them to come to play a game on Web 3. What are the easiest ways to bring them on board?
I would say from a marketing point of view, it's simplicity. It's like, I think you look at Web 2, Web 3, it's just like, forget the technology behind it. I think if you're marketing to an audience, if you sat there and say, okay, we've got a game, right? We've all got this game. Yours is Web 2, ours is Web 3, mine's Web 4. Okay, but ultimately, everyone in this crowd, how would we market to you? We would go to where your place of interest is. We would run ads on social media. We would create Telegram groups. We would do the same thing. We'd run a similar type of strategy. But I think the fact is, because we're so close to crypto and we're like Web 2, Web 3, I think sometimes that when you're so close to something, it might affect the way you market to customers. And I think the fact that you just simplify it, and we advise our clients just to simplify it. You're just trying to communicate with an audience through which to engage with them to buy your product. Forget about, how it is done, the underlying technology. Just think about the quality of the game, the quality of the user experience, and the channels in which your marketing is going towards engaging with new clients. Because just keep it simple and just don't overcomplicate it, because the product is complicated itself, but the user doesn't need to know. The user just is like, well, hey, I like this game. I go here, I do this, educate them, and simple steps.
It sounds simple, Dean, but it all depends on the product. If the product is simple, there's no hassle of creating a wallet and all these things.
Yeah, of course. But I'm saying you need to create a simplified product and then obviously market it in a way that is just done in layman's terms, where you're not having to simplify your marketing as well. Because, overcomplicate your marketing. Because if your product is complicated and your market is complicated, you're not really going to get many customers, or you're going to get a certain percentage of customers that are kind of like Web3-esque. But like, if you want a wider growth, you need to be talking to a wider audience. So simplifying your product at the beginning will allow you to have a simplified marketing message, which will obviously result in more connection to people.
I just want to add one thing because I completely resonated with what Dean just said. We still have one more step to go, I believe, which is it's easier integration with the wallets, which is something that's the last thing we have. There are some games that are even gambling games that don't need you to interact with the wallet. They are completely fully integrated. They have the NFT functionalities, and that's why they're getting users, and that's why they're getting successful using that type of technology. While on the other end, Web3 games that are claiming to be fully on-chain, sometimes they are not, and they are not because otherwise you will need to confirm a transaction every 2 minutes, and you're disrupting the user experience. But like Dean said, if we are able to move towards a place in which it's simpler, it's much easier to actually make it, using a browser without the need to know the TCP/IP protocol or HTTPS basis. In that point, in that regard, I think we could do great things. And as a fanboy, you have to go back to Wax because you can create and assign a transaction with your Gmail account.
Exactly.
So there we have Web 2 and Web 3 integration for simplicity and for actually adoption, which might drive new blockchain adoption, which might drive new blockchain innovation.
And the Wax network is mainly used for games, so that's what it was built for.
Exactly, 100%. Don't make me go fanboy.
Guys, we're at the last minute of our panel. If anyone has any questions, please do so and ask. Any questions? Nothing? Any remarks, guys? Any closing remarks?
Well, let me start. I would like to sum up this whole panel with my final remarks that I believe that NFTs have got a great potential, They had a bit of like a rough road, right? In the beginning, it was a huge hype, then it dropped a lot. And now we can finally see a proper examples of like a practical usage, which I believe will pick up in the future way more users and way more usage and will be beneficial, for everyone.
My sort of closing comments will be essentially NFTs have gone through, we've gone through lots of challenges of NFTs, but I think you just step back from it and just look about utility. Think about the end user. Why is that user buying your NFT? What value are you going to add to end user? And essentially, we're going to be in a process of creating utility tokens that add value, and those are ones that are going to be the most successful.
I have just a one-liner, which is focus on the value that's brought by the technology and not the value that's perceived by the hype. That's the key for me, for everyone to have a better ride in this ecosystem and to actually bring it forward.
Love that, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.